It's Local Edition. I'm Brad Pomerance. Thank you so much for joining us. We are joined by Lois Capps. She's a member of the United States Congress. Nice to meet you. I'm glad you're here today. I want to speak with you about the economic crisis in our nation. As you know, California's been hit tremendously by an unemployment crisis. Fortunately, the Central Coast, not as much, but still it's been difficult. Talk to me about that crisis.
You know, we're in the holiday season now, Brad, and I think it becomes even more stark, the challenges that we face. And that's why, as a member of Congress, I and many of my colleagues have made the commitment, we don't deserve to take a holiday break without doing the business of making sure that our economy has received everything we can give it in terms of families who are struggling right now.
And let's talk about that. There are two items that, as we speak today, are still on the calendar.
Yes.
But the issues are grand enough that if this airs later, it will still be relevant.
Exactly.
And that deals with a payroll tax cut on the first instance.
Right.
Let's talk about that. It deals with the Social Security withholding, and explain what's happening on that front.
Well, the payroll tax cut has benefited families during this recession to the tune of at least $1,000 every year, which has allowed them to go out and buy the necessities that they wouldn't have been able to without it. If we let this expire at the end of this current calendar year, we will be taxing this same population $1,000.
What's interesting is you are a Democrat, and on the Republican side, the Republican Party has been very adamant in extending, as what we call them, as the Bush tax cuts. And those tax cuts, as I understand it, have benefited those at the higher end of the economic spectrum.
Exactly.
Is it fair that the payroll tax cut really benefits those at the, we'll call it the lower end of the economic spectrum? Is that fair? Or is it really benefits everyone?
It benefits everyone because the lower aspect of the pay scale, as you called it, or the middle class population has borne the burden more than any other. What we're looking for is fairness. And there's been some resistance to extending the payroll tax benefit because of the cost. But we believe if you look at the tax code, which is actually what this is all about, let's have some fairness in it.
But let's talk about the cost, because when you look at the Bush tax cuts, we'll call them the Bush tax cuts, those cost money. And when you look at the payroll tax cut, those cost money. So why is it that we are seeing such a vociferous debate over the payroll tax cut when the Bush tax cuts have already been extended?
That's right. So what we want to do is make sure that we don't forget about the people. In California, for example, the plan that I support would benefit about 17 million workers in California, adding $1,500 to their opportunities for purchasing this next year. What we're asking for is that fewer than 30,000 Californians who earn more than $4 million a year at this point pay less than 2% more in their taxes. The benefits so far outweigh
at the same time, we do have a deficit and we do have debt, and if you cut taxes in whatever form, that adds to the deficit. And so I know it's important to you, it has been, that we pay for tax cuts. Are we able to pay for a payroll tax cut?
By asking the wealthiest to pay just a little bit more, as Warren Buffett has said.
Right, the Buffett rule. But as we know, your friends on the Republican side have been adamant against that. So how do we bridge that gap?
This is where we need to come together in order to really make this work, and added to it the unemployment insurance extension, because that's a must-do as well.
In our next interview, I'd like to talk to you about unemployment benefits, because in our great state, that has been quite a challenge with a very high unemployment rate.
Especially.
Her name is Lois Capps. She's a member of the United States Congress. My name is Brad Pomerance. Thank you so much for joining us. We're going to send you back to HLN.
Summertime and we're having fun. That's why we're gonna stay up late down
Hey, Kim.
Need a vacation from your summer vacation? Take a break with Charter on Demand, with channels like Comedy Central on Demand, plus hundreds of movies and music videos, and one button that lets it all in.